So, welcome to my first monthly prediction, and for this month it is for August 2020. Now, as you can see, I have already pulled the Hermit card, and the reason I have done that because it comes from my Wheel of the Year. Now, for these readings, I'm going to be looking at it from a collective perspective, but for it to really help you, if you know your ascendant, and if you know where your moon's placed, then brilliant. If not, I suggest that you go to astro.com. I'll put the link below and type in the time you were born and where you were born, and that will give you that information. If you don't know that, or if you don't know the time you were born, then it might tell you where your moon is placed at least. But for this to really work for you, you do need to have an idea of your ascendant, because that's your first house. Because how I use this, I use the house system to help me with the monthly predictions. So stay tuned, and I hope that this will be useful for you. So here I have my other three cards that I have actually drew out from my pack. As you can see, I'm using Pagan's Otherworld, and I really love this deck. It really has that old world feeling, and I kind of link, it helps me to link astrological associations with it. Now, let's start with the Hermit card, because this is the card that I pulled out from my Wheel of the Year. And the Hermit for me is about that energy that needs to be taken within. It could either be that you're moving away, physically moving away from the outside world, which, let's face it, a lot of us have been doing over the last few months. It's only recently, since lockdown has lifted, that we're coming out again. But I think it's more about that internal process of withdrawing that energy. And it's about exploring that inner landscape. What's happening? How do we tap into that wise part of ourselves? That old wise man, or the crone, maybe. It's one way of looking at it. I want you to think about that for a minute. And while you're thinking about that, remember this card here, because don't forget, I do use the, and it's gone out of my brain, I knew it would do. I do use the Golden Dawn association. It's ruled by Virgo. What's Virgo about? Well, Virgo's that sign that likes to look at things in detail. It's very thorough. And it usually rules our health and our work. So this card is not just about withdrawing your energy, but it's looking at, too, when you go within, it's looking at how you feel about your work and how you feel about your mental health as well. And it's challenging you. What serves you? What needs to change? And now that's interesting, because if you look at the next card, which is what is within, we have the Eight of Swords. Now, sometimes this can be quite a problematic card. As a rule, this is a card where the woman's tied herself up in knots and has a blindfold. It's called the self-imposed prisoner, I believe, and it's ruled by Jupiter in Gemini. But this card is about our thought processes. That's how I see it anyway. And it's sometimes to do with negative thought processes. So if you have a narrative that tells you you're no good, I don't believe in myself, then when this card shows up, it's saying that something needs to be challenged. And as I said earlier, it's ruled by Jupiter and Gemini, and that's quite an interesting combination, because although Jupiter is a planet, it does rule Sagittarius, which is the higher mind, and Gemini is the lower mind. And believe you me, I'm a Gemini, so I kind of know what I'm talking about. But Geminis, while they're great communicators, they're very witty, their brain doesn't stop, like most of us, but a Gemini brain is constantly on the go. It's that monkey brain. Chat, 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 chat. Doesn't stop. And if you've got this narrative interwoven, I'm no good, I have no confidence, then you unconsciously start accepting the story, and it needs to be challenged. And this is where the King of Wands comes in. And what a wonderful card this is. I mean, this is a brilliant card. Strangely enough, we're going into, well, I think we are now into the month for Leos. But this is a card about confidence, about self-esteem. Wand energy is about willpower and determination, and this king has bags of it. So, while all this is going on, I'm no good, the King of Wands is turning, he's looking at this card here, and it's challenging that process, and that's what you need to do. You need to challenge this negative thinking. But in order to do that, you need to go within, you need to listen to it, even though it makes you feel uncomfortable, and then challenge this. Now, there are many ways you can do this. You could communicate with somebody. Don't forget, Gemini, it's really important to have those channels of communication opened. You could also maybe do a little bit of meditation, mindfulness. That could really help. Or you could actually just challenge it, write about it, put it into your journals. There's many ways that you can get yourself out of this situation. You don't have to accept it. But look here, it's looking really positive, because the King of Wands always brings about that change. And if we're looking at a work situation, because we don't want to be thinking too negatively about work or our health, it's saying you do have options. Because the Two of Wands, as I said earlier, Wands is about passion, it's about drive, it's about enthusiasm. You do have options, and you really do need to anchor that energy. Saying that, don't forget, Virgo, look at the pros and cons, but there are options out there. So if you're looking to find work, or you're looking to change your job, think things through, but be positive about it. What is it that you really want to do? Where is it that you can really make a big change in your life? Two of Wands. There might be some risk involved, but sometimes we need to take risks in life. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up now, but I am going to bring out another video, so be on the lookout for the Hush Tarot review. I hope you like this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel. My intention is to try and do monthly readings for the next 6 months. But before I go, I do want to say one thing too, because this card here is ruled by Mars in Aries, and at the moment Mars has been moved into Aries. Now, it's interesting, I know I'm digressing, but it's interesting because there's two choices here. Mars in Aries can be a great force for positive change, but it can also be destructive. Make sure it's a force for positive change. That's all, folks. See you later.